Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another episode of Blood for the Blood God. These are a series of videos that we're doing on the building, painting, as well as progression of our 3,000 point Chaos Legion of Khorne army. And as you can see, we have made a lot of progress on this army. This is the last time that we visited this series. So as you can see, we actually have 3 units kind of painted up at this point. We have a unit of 10 Chaos Knights of Khorne. We have a huge honking unit of 20 Bloodletters of Khorne. We have 5 Flesh Hounds of Khorne. And then finally we have Khorne, the Hound of Khorne. A lot of corn going on in the names of these units. But anyways, so as you can see here, these are some of the units that we have for our 3,000 point army, which we call the Gore Pilgrims of the Bloodwood and Spoil. The goal is to have a 3,000 point Chaos Legion army of Khorne fully completed when it's all said and done, and these are the units that we've made so far on it. So far making pretty good progress. We're about, I would say, about a quarter of the way through of all the units that need to be painted up so far, which is actually pretty good considering we've done this in about, I would say about 2 weeks worth of work, if we were to all total up all the hours and the days together and stuff. And so just like always, we're going to talk about exactly about what the design concept is for each of the units, what they consist of, and pretty much what we're going for when we decide to paint these guys up. So with that being said, the very first unit we're going to start off with is this unit of 10 Chaos Knights. We're going to start with these guys first. Alright, so let's go and talk about this unit real quick. This unit is known as the Sons of Arbal the Destroyer, is what we call it. And as you can see, it's actually a unit of 8 Chaos Knights of Khorne, led by an exalted hero mounted up on a demonic mount. That's mounted on a 50 by 50 millimeter base. And that's pretty much what we're going to create this unit as well. Now, if you guys recognize this unit before, you guys have actually seen this unit before in other battle reports, especially the earlier battle reports on our channel, because we used to run just a normal Chaos Warriors army, and this unit used to be in it quite a bit. The only real work that we actually did with this unit is actually the base work. Now, I'm not sure if you remember what the original bases looked like for these guys when we painted them up. Originally, they were like a black with dry brush of burnt sienna on the top, and then burnt sienna on the rims of the bases. And we did that to make it look like these guys were walking across a ashen, burnt-out wasteland. And that was the look that we decided to go with our Chaos Legion, our Chaos Warrior armies when we first started out painting up our miniatures. And that was the look we went for. In fact, if you look at our 3,000 point Chaos Legion Niche army, they still have that base work done for that unit as well. Well, since we decided to do a 3,000 point Chaos Legion of Khorne army, we decided to change the bases just quite a little bit as well. In fact, let me go and grab this guy here in the middle. This is Arbal the Destroyer. This is actually a classic Warhammer miniature from the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. He was a former special character called Arbal the Destroyer. He was a champion of the Chaos God Khorne. He was really good at fighting in challenges and stuff. He had 2d6 attacks. He was a pretty neat miniature. This miniature is actually quite heavy because it's made out of pewter. But I want to draw your guys' attention to the base real quick. So what we decided to do is actually kind of make this boggy, bloody looking mess for the bases work on this. So what I decided to do is actually base the miniatures in a black base. Then I dry brushed 2 shades of gray. First off, just a normal gray color and then a lighter gray on top of it, to create kind of like this ashy look. And then I dumped homemade blood effect that we use. We use 1 part red, not 1 part red, 3 parts red to 1 part burnt umber to make the red, and then we use half and half of this, as well as clear gloss polyacrylic by Minwax to make the glossy blood effect on the base. And you can make ounces of this stuff for pennies on the dollar, as opposed to buying tubs of Blood for the Blood God from Games Workshop. And then the last thing we do, of course, is we rim the base in sky blue, a skyline, which is the color made by Folk Art. And the reason why I did that is because the problem with a lot of Khorne armies, especially if you're using a mono-themed list of like Chaos Demons or Chaos Warriors of Khorne, there's a lot, the army can get kind of monochromatic, not monochromatic, the army can get very bland after a while in terms of its paint scheme. You basically have 3 major colors that's in an army like that, and those 3 colors are red, gold, and black, and you can only look at so much red, gold, and black before it becomes kind of boring and kind of blah. So that's the reason why we did the base work like this. By making the bases this color and making it this way, what we decided to do to add some contrast to the army as well. So the bases kind of stick out by themselves, so they're very singular that way, so it draws your eyes' attention to the bases. At the same time, it adds some contrast, so that way your miniatures don't get, you know, lost in a blob of red, black, and gold. You can actually see the individual miniatures inside of it. And so that's the reason why we did that. Plus the idea that you have like this gray kind of bluish base color, it complements well with the red. At the same time, it also kind of helps kind of balance things out a little bit. Add some variety to the overall spectrum of the miniatures. And if you guys have seen my painting tutorials before, as well as my army showcase before, you know I'm a really big fan of bright, bold colors. So using this muted red color and black is kind of boring for me. So I had to jazz it up some way by doing that. So as you can see here, we have like a lot of different accent colors in this unit. We have a lot of greens to kind of balance that out a little bit. Some yellows as well to kind of draw some contrast between the black, the red, and the gold all the time. So this unit was already done ahead of time. We just rebased is all we did to make it match the rest of the army. And so with that, that's the Sons of Arbol. So next up, we're going to talk about this unit, which is 20 Bloodletters of Khorne. Alright, so up next is this unit of 20 Bloodletters of Khorne. As you can see, this is the unit that we have for one of our core units, because you can't have a Chaos Legion of Khorne army without some Bloodletters involved. And this unit was actually very easy to paint, I'm not going to lie. It was super easy. In fact, if you're a beginner painter, my suggestion to you is to start off with a Chaos Demons of Nurgle or a Chaos Demons of Khorne army, because I pumped these guys out in about a week, all 20 of these guys. It was just what took the longest time is the fact that I had 20 of these miniatures. That's what took so long to paint these guys, really. The paint scheme of these were very simple. I just spray painted them all in white spray paint, then I spray painted them all in like kind of like a burgundy red spray paint that was a satin finish. I then dry brushed them with some orange paint. I painted the horns and the claws black, and then dry brushed those with gray. I then painted the blades with this kind of flaming effect. So you can see here, if you look at the blades, let me see if I can zoom in a little. Got this kind of like blazing effect like that. As you can, oh, that's a little too close. Let me get this focused out a little bit. So you got like this kind of like this orange blaze effect with fire. I did that with orange and yellow dry brushing for the most part. And then I just oil washed all these guys in wax polyacrylic, poly shades, missional color. And then of course just painted all the bits that were gold, and that was it. The very quick unit to paint up. I'm not gonna lie, it's a very simple paint job on these guys. It just took a while because there's so many of them. That's the reason why it took me so long to paint this unit up. But very happy with the way that it came out as well. And once again, as you can see, the base work is exactly the same that we did for the Chaos Knights. This kind of ashy, kind of burnt out fallout look with blood all over the place to make it look like they're like bogged down in blood. I will admit though, this unit is kind of frustrating though. It is frustrating because to rank these guys up, because their Hellblades are so long and their opposers are so dynamic, it is kind of hard to rank these guys up sometimes. So I'm not gonna lie, that part was kind of a challenge to do, but you know, pretty good type formation so far. Really like the way these guys came out. Like I said, the problem with running a mono Khorne army is that you sometimes run into this you know, situation where all you just see the same 3 colors over and over again. It just gets kind of visually boring. But that's why you gotta add the little details in there, like the blades, for example, that orange glow on the blade to break it up a little bit. Same thing with the bases. Once again, I use a lot of homemade blood effect. I talked about that, how to do that already when I was talking about the Chaos Knights. I actually did another video about that too, how to make homemade blood effect without having to buy blood for the blood god, because the way I'm painting up this army, I'm going to need a lot of blood effect, and if I had to buy individual tubs of blood for the blood god, it would get really expensive real quick. So I found a really cost-effective way to actually save it. In fact, I'm actually going to do a cheap shot video that will be coming up later on about how to paint up Chaos Bloodletters of Khorne. I got a little video about that to show you guys how to quickly and cheaply paint those up, so keep an eye out for that. I'll be dropping next week sometime, so that way you guys can take a look how that works. So yeah, very happy with the way these guys came out. Same thing if you look at real close at the eyes, for example, they're kind of like a blue color. Just had to kind of break up the monotony of the color scheme for this army. So yeah, those are the Bloodletters of Khorne. So the last units we're going to talk about real quick are our Flesh Hounds. We're going to talk about those guys next. Alright, so this is the very last of the units that we painted up for our current situation for our Chaos Legion of Khorne army. And what we have here are 5 Flesh Hounds of Khorne. Same thing with Karanak, the Hound of Khorne as well. And if you notice, the paint scheme on these Hounds of Khorne is a little bit different than what you're actually used to seeing. And the reason why is because, let me go ahead and pull one of these guys out real fast. I'll put this big boy out. If you notice, there's a lot of green on this miniature. Now, if you're wondering what the situation was up with that, why is there a lot of green on these miniatures? And that's because when I first got into Warhammer back in the mid-90s, this was the color scheme that Fleshhounds of Khorne actually had. So, like, if you were to draw a comparison to that, if you go back to our Arbol the Destroyer miniature, as you can see, the giant Fleshhound he's riding has the same kind of motif going on with his green fins around his neck, and it's the same thing with the green scales on his skin. So I want to do exactly the same thing with my Fleshhounds when I painted these guys up as well. And the reason why is because in the mid-90s, when the 4th edition of Warhammer dropped, that was the edition I got into, this is how you painted Fleshhounds. This is how they wanted you to do it. Well, not how they wanted you to do it, but this is how they used to show them in the army books and stuff, in the heavy metal pages of army books and things. And so that's exactly what I decided to do as well. I decided to do this kind of like this green scheme, to do that, to keep up with the old ways of how they used to do it. I just thought that that red and green was kind of neat, kind of like a neat combination. You have like this chameleon and like this chameleon reptilian type of look for the Fleshhounds, and that just kind of really resonated with me, so I decided to adopt that with these guys as well. Now these Fleshhound sculpts, I'm going to admit, these Fleshhound sculpts are really, really nice. This is probably one of the finest sculpts that Games Workshop has made in a long, long time when it comes to their sculpts. These are very dynamic. These look like, you could really see these things putting a hurting on somebody. They're not flimsy looking, they're not weak, they're really strong looking, and just full of character and stuff. It's kind of like these and the Fenrisian wolves that they released. Those two types of miniatures they did, they were very, very dynamic. Whoever was the sculptor for that miniature as well as this one, they did an excellent job with these Fleshhounds of Khorne. So as you can see here, we did exactly the same color scheme like we did with our Bloodletters, just the white undercoat, followed by red spray paint, and then dry brushed it with a orange color. And then the green, of course, is just a what you call it? It's just holly green by Apple Barrel paint, and then dry brushed it over with kiwi. No, sorry, not kiwi, with lime sherbet color from Apple Barrel to get that green effect. Khaki for all the teeth and claws. Black with gray dry brushing for the fur. Sky blue for the eyes. And as you can see, we did exactly the same basing technique that we used for all the other miniatures as well. It just looks really, really awesome as well. And this is kind of nice because this green kind of contrasts sharply with the all red look. So it kind of makes these guys look really cool. And that's exactly the same thing we did with Karnak over here in the top, the Fleshhound. This is Khorne's personal Fleshhound. As you can see, we did exactly the same thing with this guy as well, with the green fins. We used a lot of homemade blood effect for the teeth and the mouths and the maws and the claws to make it look like these wolves, these hounds of Khorne, have just ripped up into people and just chopped them up at this point. So very, very happy with the way these guys came out. Looking really, really awesome so far. So yeah, that's our third unit, the Fleshhounds of Khorne, as well as Karnak, the Hound of Khorne. Alright folks, so that's good to do for this one. This is our current progress on our 3,000 point Chaos Legion Khorne army, the Gore Pilgrims of the Bloodwind Spoil. Next on the block for this unit, I'm going to try to be concentrating next on the proxy model I'm going to be using for Skulltaker, which is the Herald of Khorne. Skulltakers will go inside this unit of Bloodletters. So I got an old 4th edition Greater Demon of Khorne, a Bloodthirster. It's very small compared to the ones today. I'm going to use that as my proxy Herald of Khorne for Skulltaker. I'm going to work on him next, as well as a huge mob of 35 Chaos Warriors of Khorne. So those guys would be a lot of work to get that done. And I'm going to try and concentrate those two new units next, and then show you the update for that. And then after that, all I got to do is paint some Blood Crushers, as well as 25 Chosen of Khorne, and then we're ready to go. So that's good for this video, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. You guys stay classy. Catch you guys in the next one.